Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy John, aka Speros here. In today's YouTube video, I'm going to be talking about kind of my overall thoughts and feelings and initial reactions to Verdansk, how I like all of the changes that they made, some of the changes that I'm not too fond of, and overall giving it a score of 1 through 10 for an initial launch. Before we get into that though, make sure to drop a like on this video and subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads. I do encourage you guys to let me know how you guys are enjoying the game in the comment section. Hopefully Call of Duty goes ahead and checks this out and sees your concerns and your opinions. With that being said, please, if you're going to engage with other people in the comment section, keep it respectful. At the end of the day, we all just want to see this game be great and have longevity and be fun for a long time. So again, remember, we're all on the same team here. Just be respectful. Getting right into it, my overall feeling of the game is pretty good. It's mostly due to the map because the other changes such as the TTK, the current meta, the circle pacing, stuff like that, and the lack of plates and money, those things are things that we're going to talk about later on in the video, but things that definitely I think could be looked at slightly. But in terms of the map and Verdansk and no balloons, I'm absolutely loving the fact that it's basically a 1-to-1 carbon copy from the original map. I think it's something that could not have been done better. We do have other iterations in the map that people do enjoy, like with having Nakatomi Plaza, when it was Verdansk 84, when you were blowing up downtown, stuff like that. I think those things are probably coming in the future. Nobody knows for sure. But for me personally, coming back to the map in its original state and knowing all of the things that could possibly be coming in the future, that has created a super fun factor. And the fact that it is a familiar map, it makes me happy because a lot of old school players that maybe stopped playing a long time ago, they can come back and they're not like a fish out of water. They're able to traverse the map, know little jump spots, know where they're going. It just brings back a lot of memories from when the game originally launched. Now, they have been trying to keep this as close to the OG feel of Verdansk as possible, which is, I think, a good thing in some areas and a bad thing in others. And one of the areas I think is probably not the best place to do that in is with the TTK, and that is going to also lead into what the meta is currently. So the TTK right now, anybody who's played the game knows it is very, very fast. I believe with a meta AR, it's around 560 milliseconds. So basically one Mississippi, like it's not even a full Mississippi and you're getting evaporated and sent to the gulag. While this is similar to how it was at the start of the game, I don't think that this is necessarily the best decision long-term for Warzone. And the only reason I say that is because Verdansk dropped around, what, 5 years ago? Gaming has changed tremendously since then. I'm sure a lot of people watching this video will also sympathize with the fact that when they started playing Verdansk, they probably were playing on a TV, on a console without a headset, and that was their gaming experience. A lot of the players have evolved just like the game had, and a lot of people are on monitors. A lot of people have, you know, custom controllers with paddles and buttons. Everybody has the headsets and the mix amps, and what was considered a high-level player back in the day is now honestly what I would consider like a low-level player today. Like, we have all gotten significantly better at the game, and the TTK is just very unforgiving for that. With that being said though, I do not think that the TTK needs to be like astronomically raised. I just think at making it, you know, 1 to 2 to maybe 3 bullets more to kill would not be the worst thing. You know, add 100 milliseconds onto it just so that way you can react. You can throw a shoulder and then get around the corner. That's another thing with the TTK is the servers aren't great. I'm sure a lot of people have had this where you feel like you're all the way around a corner and you're getting zapped, and that's from the servers, and having a shorter TTK just exacerbates that. Now, again, for me, I would love to have 1,000,000 health, and that would be the game I would want. I don't think that's good for the game long term though. As somebody whose compensation and success in what they do is directly tied to interest in the game, I don't want the game to go too far and cater only to the good players. I think the best thing to do is just find a middle ground, and that brings us into the meta, because the TTK can even get shrunk even more depending on what you're using. Right now, for example, we have the AMAX and also the AK-74 being used as SMGs because they are just that good up close. That's something I would like to see them change in the future. For me, I'm kind of a class purist in terms of I want my ARs to be ARs and I want my SMGs to be the best. I want the ARs to be the best in the range that they're intended for, and I want my SMGs to be the best in the range that they're intended for. That's something that I'm missing right now, is running around with the mobility of an SMG and being able to win those up close gunfights. But currently with the AMAX and the AK just being that good that they're they're just unbeatable up close. It leads to kind of a dry one-way play style that I personally don't want. I prefer when the meta is a little bit more open, when you have multiple different weapons you can use and find success with, which, to be fair, in the long range meta, with the exception of the HDR, I think that's where we're at. I think a lot of people are using kilos, using AMAXs. I've been, you know, getting hit with the AMES even, and it's refreshing to look down at the kill feed and be like, oh my God, I just got knocked by blank kind of weapon and it fried me. Like, I enjoy that. I like the diversity, but in the up close area, I mean, it's literally nothing but AK-74s and AMAX SMGs, which is a little bit boring. In addition to that, one-shot sniping is back, and I personally enjoy the fact that we have the HDR. Most of my best memories is sniping on Verdansk with the OG Car 98 or with the HDR or with the AX50. With that being said, I do think that people are going to get tired of getting one-shot headshot sniped, and also it is kind of one-dimensional in terms that we have a bunch of snipers in the game, but the only one that can be used is the HDR because it's the only one that one-shot headshots. I think, why don't we open it up? Why should other snipers not have a one-shot headshot unlimited range? If we're going to afford that to the HDR, we should also be affording that to the awesome like Frostline, LR762, the BO650 cal. These should all be one-shot headshot snipers. In my opinion, I love sniping. I think one-shot headshot sniping is amazing, but I think there just should be more diversity. That's just me personally. With that being said, though, they did tune down the movement and everything does feel significantly slower than it did in Urzikstan. Even doing simple functions, there feels like there's a massive delay. This is something I believe they did in order to create more of like a consistent experience. But for me, consistent is kind of boring. I want the spice. I want the variety. I want, you know, not every gunfight to feel exactly the same. So having less delays on movement for me would be a bonus, but I get maybe that's not it for everybody. Moving into getting to that more BR feel, I think the best thing that they've done thus far is take out the ability to get gulag tokens from the world and get out gulag tokens from the buy. The redeploy flares towards the end of Urzikstan, for anybody who did play before the Verdansk update, were so rare. It was crazy. So for me, it wouldn't be the worst thing if they added them back, but had them be super, super rare like they were. But the no gulag tokens, I think, is an absolute W. And for me, is what makes it feel most like a battle royale. The fact that your life is meaning something and that it's valuable and that there are major consequences not only to you, but to your team if you do go ahead and throw it away or make a poor play. I know people are going to be upset with me saying this, and I guarantee you that if you are upset with me saying this, if you would play 5 games of solos, you would agree with me. There needs to be a way to get gulag tokens inside of solos. Hear me out first. I have played a good amount of solos in this game, and since the TTK is so punishing and we have one-shot snipers at any range and you can't just be bought back if you die, it is a very punishing and unforgiving game mode. And I understand that is how Battle Royale is supposed to be, and I completely agree, but I'm trying to look at this from people that maybe played back in 2019, 2020 and are coming back and maybe they don't have a team to play with. If their first experience is how brutal solos is, it is going to be a very big turnoff for them and make them probably not want to come back and play. In general, I think solos should be the one and only game mode that there's a way to get a gulag token, or just bring back buyback solos as the core solo mode, because overall it's just something that definitely needs to be looked into. Probably my biggest complaint next to the TTK just being ever so slightly too fast is going to be another way that they try to make it feel like a battle royale, and that is the circle pacing. As it stands currently, they wanted to make the games last around 25 minutes. They did this, I believe, to make it feel more like a BR, but to me it just feels more like a waste of time to play big map because the engagements are so very quick. It's a lot of who sees who's first with this TTK. There's not a lot of get out, reposition, replay, take the fight from another angle. Like a lot of the gunfights are very final in the very first engagement. That the circle pacing also doesn't help that, because the first circle is like almost, it's got to be somewhere between like 6 minutes. At the end of that circle is when you get your free loadout. And for me, it just feels like it's taking super, super long. One way, I mean, they could mitigate this if they want to keep it longer, just add more circles. Why does 8th circle have to be 8th circle? First circle could be over in the first 45 seconds and the zone could just move in and shrink, but just shrink a lot less each time. And so it keeps people moving and keeps the game flowing. Again, that's if you want to keep it that long. For me, I prefer the 21-minute games. I don't know if anybody else is with me on that, but the circles feel like they take forever, especially when you get into the next two biggest issues, in my opinion, is going to be the plates and the money. The game is longer, and I think that's part of the justification for having us be able to carry less plates and it be harder to get money. I think the reason that they have it like this is because we have more time to loot. Again, looting is crucial and important in a battle royale. But with that being said, the main function of the battle royale is to land, loot, fight, win. And the most fun that I have in the game is in the fight portion. And without having ample plates to be able to take multiple fights without needing to kind of resupply essentially almost in the middle of every fight, but then also having to loot after almost every engagement in quads. If a teammate dies and then the people I'm looting also don't have money, then there is no reward for getting that elimination. And then I have to go spend even more time to try to get money to get my teammates back. Now, Raven did say that they're going to be addressing the plate situation and they're going to be doing this. We're not exactly sure how. Overall, for me, as somebody who does this for a living, I want to see the game proliferate. I want to see it have a tremendous success, because more success for the game means more success for me. More people that are enjoying it means that more people are going to be hopefully consuming not only my content, but all of my creator friends' content as well. All in all, though, it feels great to be back on Verdansk. And like my favorite developer currently, Just Teddy, has been saying, it is not the end all be all how the game is right now. But what they wanted to do is create a very memorable and a very strong base game to build off of. And I think they've done a tremendous job with that. I think we're starting off with the right map, with the right components, with the fast TTK and maybe the longer circles and stuff, at least they're making effort to make it feel like more like a BR and giving that diversification away from kind of resurgence. And so for me, where we are at now is not the best place to be, but it is a good base for them to build off of and fine tune this into arguably what I believe is going to probably be the best version of Warzone that we're going to see in the future. All in all, out of 10, after playing this for a week, I would give the update a solid 7, and that's excluding the map. The map itself is like a 10, but all the other stuff, for the most part, I'd give it around a 7, and that is easily fixable with just a few changes of numbers on spreadsheets that the game's reference in order to just change, TTK numbers, circle pacing, amount of plates. So the game's in a good spot. I'm very, very hopeful for the future. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys are thinking. Without further ado, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your day.